Fine. So in the last session, we just gone through the process of calendar creation, and we have seen like the currency predefined information in the system, and we discussed the points related to currency as we no need to enable the currencies in the Fusion environment. By default, all currencies are enabled. If you want to disable, you can disable it. The next component is chart of accounts. So when you talk about chart of accounts, designing the chart of accounts as a part of system, when you are going to create the chart of accounts, we have to perform the multiple tasks. First, we have to create value sets for segments, create value sets. After creating the value set, we have to create chart of account structure. We'll just give the structure name, and within the structure we have to create segments. After creating the segments, we normally assign value sets to segments in case of EBS. Here, when you create the segments, as a part of segment creation, we have to select the value set. So when you are working on EBS, in case of EBS, if you are going to create the chart of accounts, you can follow the sequence. In case of EBS, first you can create chart of accounts structure. Within the structure, you can create segments, and within the segments, for each segment you can create value set. Okay, you can create the value sets, then create values in value sets, or before that we assign value sets to segments. After creating the after assigning, you can create, or after assigning the value set to segments, or before assigning the value sets to segment, you can create the values in value set. We assign segment qualifiers to segments. We assign here segments we are talking about, and it says segments flex field qualifiers. This is the next statement. Okay, assign flex field qualifiers to segment, assign segment qualifiers to segment values, and you can freeze, compile, COA. And chart of account level, we enable allow dynamic inserts. This is how we can just get ready with the chart of accounts in case of EBS. But if you look at the sequence and the naming convention, the terminology, what changes, we can just understand just when we talk about this sequence of configuration we'll discuss. But this is a process. These are the sequence of tasks we perform in case of EBS if you are going to create the chart of accounts. First, we create chart of account structure. That means within the accounting key flex field, we'll just give the name. Within that structure, we create segments. For each segment, we create value set. Those value sets we have to assign to segments. And after that, we have to create values in value sets. So at the time of segment creation itself, or else after creating the segments, we can assign the flex field qualifiers to segments, and segment qualifiers to segment values. And finally, we freeze and compile the chart of accounts. When it comes to Fusion, what sequence you have to follow? So before you just go and create the segments, it's mandatory you have to create the value sets. First, we have to create the value sets. If you want to create the segments, we have to start with the chart of account structure. So in case of EBS, first we create the segments. After creating the segments, we can create the value sets, those we can assign to segments. But in the Fusion, at the time of segments creation, value set field, they made it as a mandatory. So since it's a mandatory, the first task we have to create the value sets, then create chart of account structure and create segments by selecting the value sets. Okay, when you are creating the segments, see here, we'll create segments. After that, value sets will create value sets we assign. Then we'll assign then we can create the values, or you can create later, and you assign flex field qualifiers to segment. But here, at the time of segment creation only, we have to assign the flex field qualifiers. In EBS, whatever we are calling as flex field qualifiers, the same we call, the same flex field qualifiers in Fusion we call as segment labels. So we create segments, we have to assign segment labels to segments. Segment labels nothing but flex field qualifiers in EBS. Okay, so this is a task we have to perform. Fine. And after creating the value set, once value sets are ready in the Fusion, you should not create values in value sets. Just note this point. So first we have to create the value sets. We'll discuss why we should not. So first we have to create the value sets. After that, we'll create the chart of account structure. Within the chart of account structure, we create segments and we assign segment labels to segments. However, we assign flex field qualifiers to segments in EBS. The same way in Fusion, we assign segment labels to segments. After assigning the segment labels to segments, what we have to do is we have to create chart of accounts instance. We'll discuss what is the meaning of instance. After creating the chart of account instance, chart of account structure instance, we have to create chart of account structure instance. After creating the chart of account structure instance, so in case of EBS, after completing the entire configuration of chart of account, we freeze and compile. Equal to compile, in Fusion we have a deployment. We have to deploy flex field. In which flex field we create chart of accounts, accounting key flex field. The real actual name is accounting key flex field, but display we could see as accounting flex field. In case of EBS, we compile our chart of accounts only, but here we cannot compile our chart, we cannot deploy only our chart of accounts entire flex field. Which flex field? Accounting key flex field, or call it as accounting flex field. Entire flex field we have to deploy, which is equal to compile. After completing this task, we have to create segment values. after completing the deployment, we have to create the segment values in value sets. When you create the segment values in value sets, we have to assign the segment qualifiers in case of EBS, right? We assign segment qualifiers to segments in EBS, but in the Fusion, the same segment qualifiers we call as value attributes. Say assign value attributes to segment values. Value attributes are nothing but segment qualifiers in EBS. Okay, so this is a sequence we have to follow, and these are the points we have to understand. So in case of EBS, say you created value set, you can go and create the values within that. When you create the values, depending on the value set is, when you are going to create the values within that, so you the system will be giving the segment qualifiers. But here, once you create the value set, if the value set is not used in any one of the chart of account structure, and if it is not deployed, if you go to value set to create the values, the qualifiers cannot be displayed. Here it's nothing but value attributes: allow budgeting, allow posting, okay, account type, reconcile, third party, control account. These are all attributes. The segment qualifiers only we are calling as value attributes. Those all won't display anyway as a part of definition. When you create in the system, I'll take you through that, you can understand. So this is a sequence we have to follow to create the chart of accounts in the Fusion. First, as a mandatory, we have to create value set. After that, we'll create the chart of account structure, and within the structure we have to create the segments. There is no separate task of assigning the value sets to segments. As a part of segment definition, we have to select the value set into segment. After that, we assign segment labels to segments. In EBS, we assign flex field qualifiers to segment. The same flex field qualifiers in Fusion we are calling as segment labels. And then we create chart of account structure instance. What is the meaning of instance and all we'll discuss before we do in the system. Okay, and we'll deploy flex field. Okay, once you create the chart of account structure instance against our chart of account structure, we have to perform the deployment, and after that we have to create the segment values within the value sets. Then only we'll be able to find the value attributes, nothing but segment qualifiers, which need to be assigned to value segment values. So this is a sequence. These are the tasks which you have to perform as a part of chart of accounts creation. Okay, and other points what we can discuss is, so we know like it's the minimum, okay, minimum 2 segments. These rules remain same, and max 30 segments. Okay, and when we talk about qualifiers in case of EBS, we have balancing, secondary tracking, and all that. When we are defining, when we are working, when we are creating the segments, we'll talk about it. We have additional qualifiers and all, we'll talk on that. But before getting into that, what are the other details we have to understand we are discussing? Minimum 2 segments, maximum 2 segments. If you are going to use intercompany segment, okay, if you are going to use intercompany segment in our chart of accounts, so normally if you use intercompany segment, which value set we assign to intercompany segment? That we know very well, but just I am asking as a question. Anyone please?
Company.
Company.
The balancing segment, company.
Yeah. So what are the balancing segment? That balancing segment value set we assign to intercompany. That we should not do in EBA Fusion. Okay, that is a point we have to understand. The reason why we should not do. In case of EBS, okay, in case of EBS, when you talk about SR, security rule, okay, we define the security rule we define at segment, but in Fusion, security rule we define at value set. So for company, you may define the security rule. That means you are creating company value set level. So for company value set, you have a security rule. If that you are going to assign to intercompany segment, the same rule will be applicable. So as per your company security rule, maybe company 1000 is allowed. So that you assign to your company value set, that you set in the company value set, and you just assign to, say you define the rule in that way. If the same value set you are going to assign to intercompany level also, you can select 1000 only. In that case we don't require. So we'll see that when you are working on GL, I'll explain you, but here, so to just understand the point high level, the point is, in case of EBS, if you have a segment called as intercompany segment within your chart of accounts, the same balance and segment value set we assign to intercompany segment also, but in Fusion we should not do it. Reason: the secured rules we define at value set level in Fusion. So that is the reason. What is the alternative solution? What we have to do? So we have to create the separate value set for intercompany segment, and exact values whatever you have in our balance and segment related value set, those we have to copy and we have to create as these. Exactly, we have to create same the value sets, the values same as company segment values or balance and segment values. So this is a point we have to understand. They will focus on this when we are working on GL, but as a just point I want to address here. So that is a point. When you are creating the intercompany segment in the chart of accounts, so you should not use balancing segment related value set for intercompany. You have to create separate value set, and the same values whatever you have in the balance and segment value set, the same values we have to enter in intercompany segment value set. So these are the points we have to understand. So this intercompany and SR and all will be working on GL side. At the time we'll see more detail level, as very high level take this point. So just let's focus on this creating the chart of accounts. So any questions here, please? What we have inside, what are the segment labels we have, what are the value attributes we have, nothing but flexible qualifiers. Okay, any new we have and all we'll see as a part of definition, but just to understand the sequence when you compare with EBS or any other points, you can raise your questions. Any questions here to understand these points, please? Any questions from anyone? Fine, no questions. Now we'll go and create the value sets. Okay, we'll go and create the value sets. So to create the value sets, we'll just go and create the value set for few segments. So we'll create one value set for company value set, department value set, account value set. Okay, we'll go with these three value sets. That means we are going to have three segments as of now. Going forward, we'll be creating one more segment. We'll be adding that. By that time instance will get refreshed again. We have to do the setups. So to test our concept called as AGIS, Advanced Global Intercompany System. Okay, we can have a separate segment called as intercompany. At that time we'll be adding. For now, for our just will be keep entering the transactions and we'll be selecting the values. These three would be enough to test all the scenarios. So when we test AGS, Advanced Global Intercompany, we'll be adding one more segment called as intercompany segment as a part of our chart of account. So we'll create three value sets and we'll create our chart of account structure. Within that we'll create three segments. We'll assign these value sets to those segments respectively and we'll proceed with the rest of setups. Okay. The first task is create value sets. The first task is create value sets. We'll go and create three value sets. Just go to instance. We are using the user called as Fusion India. Just log into the instance. So timeout. One second. Okay, so just perform all these setups from the project. Go to task list, go to manage implementation projects, just click on overview so that we can connect to our project which is associated with the current user. Click on the project and search for the task called as value sets. Okay, so the actual task name would be chart of account structure value sets. Every task starts with a manage. So here you can search for a task called as chart of accounts structure value sets. Sorry, it's a chart of accounts value sets. Here directly you can go with value sets. Chart of accounts value sets. So here is the task. You can just drag little right. You could see the full name. So we have a task called as manage chart of accounts value sets. Manage chart of accounts value set values. Okay. Now we want to create the value sets, not value set values. So click on this task. Manage chart of accounts value sets. Click on this task. If you notice here, you could see those tasks in the sequence. All are in the sequence. Again, system is indicating which task is mandatory, which is optional. They are just representing with the star mark asterisk. So it says the task is mandatory task you should perform. First we have to create the value set. As a next task we have to create the chart of account structure, and you have to create the chart of account structure instances. We'll discuss what is the meaning of instance. And then finally we have to create manage chart of account value set sets. So here simply they are just giving as a 4 tasks in the sequence, the same 4 tasks what we do more detail level we discussed here. So they given the task as value sets, then structures. Within the structure only we create segment, we assign these labels. Okay, next task would be instance creation. Then once we're done with, we'll deploy, then we'll create values. As a part of value, assign the value attributes. So the summary of tasks are only 4. When you look at more detail, these are the tasks. Yes, I'm sorry. Any question?
Maybe Lakshman, maybe it's me. The navigation path when you are navigating to find the value sets, but maybe time delay. I could not get it.
Okay, fine. I'll repeat it. So what we have to do is we have to go to project, open the project, search for the task called as chart of accounts value sets. That's all. Search with the term called as chart of accounts value sets. You could see the task here. Click on manage chart of accounts value sets. Okay, here it will display the task. Again, this task is within which task list. Okay, the actual task list name is define chart of accounts. As a part of defining chart of accounts, these are the relevant tasks. First we have to create value set, then chart of account structures. After structure instance, after that values in the value set. Okay, this is all we have to perform in the sequence. First we'll go and create the value sets. Okay, to create the value set, click on go to task icon. Just click on go to task icon. Fine. In Fusion, anything you create, most of the definitions, whatever you create, by default you will be landing. Once you click on relevant task, okay, will be landing in page where you could see search option first. So here they given search. Okay, if you want to find existing value sets, you can search from here. Okay. So we'll go and create our own value set within the Vision instance. Within the Vision instance, what are the predefined value sets we can find, that also we'll discuss, so that when you are practicing you may use those instead of creating, but at least you create one time, then that will help us. We'll see that point later. So now we are just trying to create the value set. So task name is manage chart of accounts value sets. Any question? I can hear some noise. Murali, any question?
No, sir, I'm good.
Yeah, fine. Please, my request is please just make sure that you are not unmuting from your side. Fine. So just to create the value sets, this is the task we have to use. Click on go to task icon. Done. So by default, for any task which you perform, you could see the search section. If you want to search for existing records, you can search, or else directly you can go with the create. Here we have a create plus icon. Just click on create. So from this, once you just click on create, this is a page system will open. From here you can create the value set as we planned. We'll go and create the 3 value sets for company, department, and account. So here we are using the name as Cloud Inc, right? That's how we create, with that name only we created project. For any definition we do in the application, we'll go with the same name as a prefix. Let's treat as Cloud Inc is a company name. Okay. So sometimes it may not be mandatory to enter Cloud Inc when we define reality, but here, since it's a vision instance, to differentiate our definitions with existing definitions, everywhere we are going to use Cloud Inc for any definition. Okay, we'll create the value set for company. Say Cloud Inc company value set. Code, you can take the same as a description. Now select module. This value set is going to belongs to which module. You can select it. Select general ledger. In case of EBS, when you create value sets we normally create within the chart of account structure. Structure will create segments, we create from there only we create the value sets. When you are creating the value sets from the structure we create in accounting key flex field. The accounting key flex field is inside of GL, right? That means system can understand the value set is we are creating within the general ledger for general ledger application purpose. That is the reason we don't specify anything over there here. So individually we are creating the value set. That is the reason just so we have to tag this value set for which application. So rest of process remains same as EPS. How you create value set, same process you can follow. Say validation type is independent value set, or else you may make it as dependent depending on which value set you create. Since it's a company, say independent, and value data type, say character, and value subtype. Here we have a security, it's related to security rule. When we work on GL, okay, at the time of security rule concept, we'll enable and we'll give the name, we'll define. From here only we'll create the security rule. Okay, that is not required now. Now our focus is creating the value set. So value subtype, select value subtype, say text, and maximum length. Okay, maximum length to display the values. You'll be entering the number for company. So what is the maximum size we provide in case of EBS, right? If you provide maximum size as 4, you can enter the company code with max 4 digits up to 9,999. Same way, here the instead of maximum size they're given as a maximum length. The length you can say 4, so that the company codes you can enter with max 4 digit number. Okay, that's how you can specify. Here you can set a restriction, what should be the minimum value, maximum value. 4 means up to 9,999, but if you have any preferences to set the value should be entered in between so and so number, that you may specify here. If you want to use only uppercase whenever you enter this information, you can enable it. Zero fill number, that also you can enable, so that if you enter 1, system will fill 0001. So the same function how you have in EBS you could see, but this function doesn't work here. Okay, so this is how just we have to create the value set definition, same as EBS. You don't see a big difference here. So once you provide this information, click on save and close. We're done with a value set for company. The same will be repeating for department and account also. Click on create again. So provide the name as Cloud Inc department. Value set code is Cloud Inc department. Same name you can copy and paste as a description. Select module as a general ledger. Value type is independent value, so a character. Value subtype is text. So for department also, say we want to go with a 4-digit number and say save and close, and we'll create one more value set for account segment. Say cloud inc account. Copy and paste. Module is GL. Validation type is say independent. Value type is data type is character. Subtype say text. Here also say we'll go with a 4 or 5 or 6. It's up depending on values which you have. Say save and close. This is how we can create the value sets. So this is a Vision instance. It's not a fresh instance, right? So when you say Vision instance, there will be sample data. So in every Vision instance, in every Fusion Vision instance, you can find out few predefined value sets as a part of Vision definition. Those starts with the name called as corporate. In case of EBS, normally in EBS, if you are working on the Vision instance, working in the sense if you are learning or if you are testing something, if you want to have value sets which are already predefined, normally we use operations, company, department, or services related, right? So we have a operations uh, company, operations, account, department. That's how we have a predefined value sets in case of EBS Vision instance. In case of Fusion Vision instance, you can find the value sets. Name starts with corporate. Corporate company, or else you search with the corporate, you can find out all the value sets which are available with this name. Okay, so corporate account, corporate company, corporate cost center, corporate LOB, corporate product. So these are the predefined value sets. So when you are going to practice, you may use corporate account so that all the account information you can find within that. You don't need to add and any, you don't need to create new accounts into your value set. Okay, you can assign this value set to your account segment instead of creating entering the values into your own value set. That we'll see later. First we'll try to understand how to create the account values also into our own value sets. Okay, just as a point
Lakshman,
talking about it. Yeah, please.
Lakshman, this Preetham here, sorry to breaking you. You said there is one module which is getting associated with the value set. So if you, I don't think this was there in EBS. So if you associate this to GL, that means this value set can't be used in other subledgers.
Now see, the first point is in EBS also we have that logic. Normally we have it two options. So one option is directly with the navigation you can create value set, but mostly we create value sets directly from the chart of account structure. When you create the chart of accounts, inside of the chart of account we create the segments and we have a function called as create value sets. So since we are creating the value sets in chart of account we create within the accounting flex field. Accounting flex field is there inside of GL. That's how system will understand the value set which you are creating should refer which application. Even if you select particular application, now we selected general ledger, but still that value set can be used for any other application related accounting flex fields. Sorry, accounting flex fields, key flex fields. We can use it. Just it's all about addressing for which module you want to use it. No restriction in terms of usage. Okay.
Okay, Lakshman, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So just notice this point in the Vision instance. If you see Vision instance in case of Fusion, so you can find these predefined value sets. But one time at least for practice, you may create our own value sets. So what are the value sets we created? Those starts with the cloud inc. We'll find it. You name as a cloud inc. Click on search. Now we could see our three value sets. Cloud INC account, Cloud INC company, Cloud INC department. So here we discussed one point. After creating the value set, immediately you should not create values in value set. Okay, you should not create. If you try to create, what happens? We'll see that. We are not going to create, but just for understanding, I'm selecting the segment value set called as Cloud INC company. I want to add few accounts, few companies into this value set. If I want to add values into this company value set, select that value set here, just select that value set, click on manage values. When you create the value set in EBS, when you create the values in EBS, what we do, we'll give the code, company code, company just, and description. After giving, what we have to do, we have to assign, what we have to assign, we have to assign the segment qualifiers. Segment qualifiers, allow budgeting, allow posting by default, other than natural account segment. So for other segment values, other segment related values, when you create, by default we get two qualifiers, allow budgeting, allow posting, right? So that's the same allow budgeting, allow posting here we are calling as value attributes. Those you don't get it. So I'm trying to create the value for company segment. I can give the company code, any number I can give. I can write the company name, but here I don't see any qualifiers, which we call here as value.
Lakshman, a small question, because you said in the hierarchy we should not create values in the value sets, right? So now we are creating values. Will it affect?
No. You should not create values in value sets immediately after creating the value set. Always we have to create the values in value sets only, but not in this stage.
Yeah, because now we did not create a chart of accounts, right?
Yeah. Even if you create chart of accounts also, you cannot create the values. Okay, if you try to create, that is incomplete definition. So now you can create values as incomplete definition without qualifiers. You cannot see posting.
Lakshman, because the segment is not qualified as it is company or account or what?
Yeah, segment is not qualified, not. This value set is not assigned to any segment. That is the reason. This value.
Yeah, and so it does not know what it is, account or balancing segment or what.
No. See, when you talk about natural account, only natural account case only that rule is applicable. Okay, say you have a company, department and account. For say department segment, you are not assigning any qualifier in EBS. Whether system will display the qualifiers called as allow budgeting and allow posting, yes or no, when you create the values for a department?
Yes, it will.
Yes, that means, so there is no point of whether qualifier is, system is considering as a qualifier. Only system will look at the qualifier association for natural account only. Other than natural account segment, rest of any segment, you may assign qualifiers, may not assign the qualifiers. By default, every segment, what are the values you create, by default system will display allow budgeting, allow posting in EBS. Same applicable here. Now why we are not getting those qualifiers? Here qualifiers we are calling as segment qualifiers as a value attributes. We are not getting value attributes for company. The reason, this value set is not assigned to any segment. Even if you just assign, not enough. So this value set you are assigning to company, say you are assigning to company, still you cannot get those qualifiers, nothing but value attributes. Wherever you are assigning this value set, with that chart of account should be deployed. Against the chart of account, instance need to be created, the entire definition need to be deployed, then only it will give the provision of setting those attributes for the segment values. So what I'm trying to say is, don't create values immediately after creating the value set. You have to complete this cycle of tasks, complete sequence of setups. After performing this, then if you go to any value set, you will be able to see the value attributes, nothing but segment qualifiers. Okay, so this is the point. You should not create values in value set immediately after creating the value set. you have to create after this. After deployment, you have to create the value sets into any value set. Values in
So,
any question here, please.
yeah, Lakshman. So in EBS, if you create a value set and if you assign to chart of account, let's say balance sheet segment, I think that value flex field will automatically will be enabled.
Yeah, there it happens, but here until unless you deploy, it won't add that qualifiers for the definition.
Okay, so it is specific to Fusion that until and unless you deploy, it will not allow you to see that value flex fields.
Correct. Okay.
Okay.
So here, just don't create any values before you just complete this task. So after completing the deployment, you can proceed with the values creation of the value set. This is the point we have to understand here. Okay. So just we're done with the value set definition. Now we'll go and create the chart of account structure. We have a task in the sequence, right? So just say save and close. The next task is manage chart of accounts structures. Just click on go to task icon. Just click on go to task icon against manage chart of account structures. So where we can create the chart of account structure in EBS in accounting flex field. The same here. So first we have to search for accounting flex field. Just you don't need to type the full form of accounting flex field. Just type accounting, then click on search. So in general ledger application, we have accounting flex field. In accounting flex field, we can create our chart of account structures. In EBS also same, right? So in accounting flex field, we can create our chart of account structure. To create the chart of account structure, click on manage structures tab. Just click on manage structures tab. Here you can create the chart of account structure. If you want to see existing structures within this accounting flex field, you can click on search. You can see all the chart of accounts structures which are already created within this accounting flex field. Okay, this is how you could see.
Lakshman.
Yeah.
Lakshman, could you come 1 second from the manage chart of account structure? I missed your point.
So what I'm trying to say is first you have to search for the flex field. Our flex field name is accounting flex field, right? We create chart of account in accounting flex field. So you just search before that just we are take the task name which we are using is manage chart of account structures. All you can see in the sequence only. Just now we created value sets. Now we are going to create the chart of account structure. So against this structure task, click on go to task icon. Fine. Now where we can create the chart of account structures in accounting flex field. So search for accounting flex field. You don't need to type full name. Search accounting or just very short ACC also. So we have accounting flex field in general ledger. So within this accounting flex field, we can create the chart of account structure. To create the chart of account structure within the accounting flex field, click on manage structures. If you want to find all existing structures, you can click on search. You can find all. If you want to create new, you can click on create. So our chart of account structure name, say Cloud INC accounting flex field, or you may write the name as Cloud INC organization structure, chart of account structure, or Cloud INC CO, anything you can write. So since we are creating the accounting flex field, just I am naming it as a Cloud INC accounting flex field or accounting structure you can write. The same code I am taking as a name, same I am taking as a description. So in EBS, when you create the chart of account structure, the structure window level, you can find segment separator. when you have a segments, when you enter the segment values, how the segment values need to be separated with which symbol. Okay, how those need to be separated. For that we have a segment separator. Here the same segment separator we are calling as delimiter. These terminologies and all taken from the peoples of JD Edwards from the different products. So delimiter, just you can select dot. Okay, done. Now just we given the structure code, name, description, and segment code combination need to be separated with this symbol. Okay, done. Now we have to create the segments within this structure. So you could see the segment creation, this function is not enabled. So if you want to enable it, you have to save whatever the information you provided in this level. Okay, just click on save. So that system will take this information and it will enable segment creation function. Okay, just click on create. So here we are going to create the segments. Now we just created structure, we given the name and all that, only just we are calling a structure creation. Within the structure, of course, structure means it consists of everything, but here just for naming convention we written, so that we are treating as a structure name we given. Now we'll go and create the segments within the same structure. We are in the same window, click on create. We are going to create the 3 segments. Segment code, so company segment, just tab out and you see the pop-up. What is the meaning of API? We know API means, right, application programming interface. Okay, so here API means, so normally when you do the mapping, when you do the integrations, third-party integration for inbound or outbound, we do the field mapping, right? So in case of Fusion, what Oracle recommends is, instead of using the company segment code or say segment name, so we given segment code as company, segment name as a company, but what Oracle recommends is, instead of using this company code or company name for mapping purpose, if you want to map this company segment with any other system related mapping for data inflows or outflows, don't use fields called as company segment and company name. Whenever you create the company code, with the same company code, system will create the API name for the purpose of using integrations. If you place cursor in that field, it will display the purpose also. Specify a name that identifies the segment in web services, reporting and other integration points. Web services means this is one of the service which you can use as a part of SOA for integrations purpose. Okay, so in the same way other integrations, and for reporting case also, if you want to generate the reports which refers this segment information, in that case also, instead of using company code and name, just for mapping purpose or just to generate the reports for company level or any segment level, you can just use this name. Okay, that is a purpose they are giving API name. There is no other point. It's just for mapping purpose. You can use this field in this field. That's all. Okay, don't compare with the actual APIs. Just the given name as API. That's just, it's a field API you may treat. So that is the meaning of API. When you do the mapping with the third party system, say you want to send the data from Fusion to third party, in that case, so which field data, company data you want to send to other system as a set of record and all, for company you will be using this field for mapping purpose, or else you are bringing the data from other system to this system. The company field data, if you want to bring from third party to Fusion, so that third party company field will be mapping with the Fusion, this company, this field API name. So that's how we do the mapping. For that purpose you can use it. So now you can provide the same as a description also. Sequence number, this is going to be first segment. Don't use
Lakshman.
Please.
Lakshman Teja. Can you please repeat that API name? I didn't get you what you're trying to say.
You know we do the mapping in integrations, right? Hello?
Yeah, Lakshman, go ahead.
We do the field mapping, right? If you want to map company segment, okay, company segment with any inbound or outbound integrations, don't use the column called as company code, or don't use the column called as name. Use column called as API name. That is the purpose they are giving it. This is
Okay.
clear?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you mean to say while defining this, we should follow any specific name process for
Nothing.
API model?
You create how you want to create. It will take all lowercase. That's all.
Okay, done.
Done. That's all. Fine. And sequence number. Any questions? Fine. No questions. Fine.
Yeah, Lakshman, the question is,
Please.
can we change the API name?
Yeah, you
Like, can I put company 1, company 2, company 3 kind of?
No. See, that is wrong, right?
Okay.
This
That's
is
the reason
segment
I
name.
actually
This is not values. Companies. It's a
Yes.
right segment name. These are not segment values. If segment values means we can make it. Yeah.
So whatever
Yeah.
the segment code is, it should be the same as API name.
Yeah, you can change it, but
Yeah, that's what I am asking.
that means 1, 2, 3 means how
Because
you
you
write it.
mentioned,
That is wrong, right?
no, Lakshman, you
No.
mentioned the same segment code company
Hmm.
as equivalent to API name and description, right? So we can change the API name and description to whatever we want, but segment code always should be company.
The segment code will be company, but what is the purpose we will be changing? Not required,
Okay.
right? See, this company will be stored where? In column 1. So when you talk about segments,
Okay.
you can create 30 segments. So this we are giving as a sequence as 1, it will be stored in the column 1. When you do the mapping as a column 1, okay, system will use this. This is the one, the API name it will map. Okay, so there is no need, like it's a company segment means instead of mapping this, you'll instead of mapping these two segments, you'll be mapping with this column within in the mapping process. That's all. No need to change
Is
it.
it
There
a
won't
case
no need.
API name?
Sorry,
Is API name, is it a case sensitive?
it's not case sensitive. By default, it will take lowercase. Since
Okay.
there should be some some uniqueness. I mean, uniformed display. That is the reason. Or else you can change to uppercase, but not required.
Okay.
Not required.
Okay.
Accept what system takes. It will copy what you entered with a lowercase. That's all. Fine. So sequence number, just you give as a 1. So don't go with the sequence as a 10, 20, 30. There is some bug. If you go with a 10, 20, 30, you cannot perform the transactions. Just please make a note. Okay. So go with the sequence as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all. Don't go with the sequence as a frequency with the 10, 10, 20, 30. Company 10, department 20. So account is 30. Don't go with the sequence. Follow the sequence as a 1, 2, 3 only. And prompt, nothing but display name for this segment. Same. Short prompt. Already name itself very short. You can give the same as a short prompt. No issues. Display width. When you create the values for the company segment, okay, within the company segment will create the values, segment values. The segment value you can give it the 4 digits. That's already we specified in the value set creation itself. But against that 4 digits company code, you will be writing the description. The description need to be displayed in how many characters, that you can specify as a display width. These and all we have in EBS, but we don't specify. By default, system take it, right? Once you create value set, it will take by default. Sorry, once you create the segment, okay, once you create the segment, if you click on segment, if you select segment, if you click on open tab, it will show the segment properties window. Within that you can find all the display width and all, but here it's nothing is defaulting. We have to enter how we require. So I'll say 30 characters. The segment name, okay, we want to display in the 30 characters. And you can go with the column name. It's nothing but segment number. Segment 1 you can select. And default value set type. So see here, when you are creating the segment, value set is mandatory. In case of EBS, optional field. Without selecting the value set, we can create the segment. Later point of time or any point of time, you can assign the value set or you can overwrite. But here, as a part of segment creation, value set is mandatory. I have to assign default value set for this segment. So we created the value set called as Cloud INC company. Search for that. Search.
Lakshman, one question from
Please.
my side. Can we switch the default this segment value later
Segment.
on? Segment like segment 2, we want segment 2 instead of segment 1. Can we change that?
You should not
Later
do
on?
that. There will be many issues will come. You should
Okay.
not change that sequence. Okay, this is our we given Cloud INC company. So this is a value set, and in EBS what we do is after creating a segment, any question?
Lakshman, a quick question. Yeah. While defining this and segment code, I can give numerical, and API name I can give the company. Is it possible, or is it any
See, segment.
issues on that?
No. Segment code numeric means what? What is the meaning of that numeric? No, just will give which is segment that is. Code in the sense it's always we have to treat it as a short name. That's it. Company code means yes, you can give numeric. Okay. These we know when you work in EBS also will follow the same, right? So directly there will be giving the segment name. Here they give an option as a code where you can specify in short. That's all. Okay, no, just we have to give the segment name only. That's how we have to do it. It's not like numbers and all.
We
No,
need to
why-
think
why
why,
am
we need to think why do we need to change it? Is there any need? No, right?
No, not at all. Right. Fine. So normally we have to go with the segment name only. It's not like code, the different way you should not represent. There is no need, not at all required in any scenario. Just it's all about giving the segment name. That's all. Fine. Now in case of EBS, what we do is we assign the flex field qualifiers to segment. So equal to that, here we assign segment labels to segments. The segment labels are equal to flex field qualifiers. Here you could see segment labels. Segment labels. In case of EBS, we have primary balancing segment qualifier. Here, that means we have one balancing segment flex field qualifier in EBS, but Fusion they given 3 balancing segment labels. Okay, you could see 3 balancing segment labels. Primary balancing segment label, nothing but primary balancing segment qualifier when you compare with EBS. Secondary balancing segment, third balancing segment. So within our chart of accounts, they given the flexibility of balancing 3 levels. The best practice always is only 1 level. Okay, so 3 balancing segment labels they given. Since they given 3, we can talk on one point. They allowed us to create 30 segments who are using why they are using, which comes under very bad practice and system performance issues. Okay, here also you could see 3 balancing segments they given: primary balancing, secondary balancing, third balancing segment. Okay, just notice this point. Primary is mandatory, rest if you want to use you can use. So there will be, depending on the business scenarios, we'll get into many issues like every level, if you go with the 3 segments all the time, the debits credit should get balanced with the same balancing, the same values that rule system will impose. So accordingly, just you have to manage all the transaction. Generally, we know like we go with a one balancing segment. So I'm assigning primary balancing segment label to our company segment. How to assign? Select. You just select into selected labels. Any questions, please, on this point? We'll discuss about other labels. Any questions? Okay.
Lakshman, that second and third balancing segment, I mean, this is specific to Fusion, and does someone uses it, or?
I didn't see how somebody is using. Okay.
Because generally we use only one balancing segment in a code combination.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Just so that will lead into many complex issues and all. There will be the business scenarios. Will be dealing with different ways, and all the case system will expect to balance in the different levels. So generally we use two only. Generally we use how many segments? 6 or 7 or 8. Oracle given 30 because they given we cannot use, right? So apply the same logic. Somebody require, they may use it.
US Air Force is using 13 segments, but only one balancing segment though. It's a mess otherwise.
Yeah, correct. When you talk about best practices for chart of account designing, that is one of the key point which you have to consider, right? So always try to have one balancing that will make your accounting transaction process very smooth. Okay, so just we are talking about it.
Can we assign all
Balancing segments, primary, second, and third. Please, any question?
Okay, here can we assign all
Your voice is
segment
very
labels
low.
to one
Your voice is
segment?
low.
Okay, here can we assign all segment labels to one segment?
All
Segment labels
segment labels.
to one segment,
All
because I could see,
all means which?
I mean,
All.
all the available segment labels. Yes.
Before that, we have to think on what is the purpose. Here, the option they given, I can select all.
Okay.
Meaning, there should be meaning, right? The purpose we have to identify. If there is some purpose, okay, there won't be any scenario where we assign all to one, but there will be cases where you may assign maybe two. If you take cost center, maybe you will assign cost center segment label, and maybe you may make it as if you want secondary balancing segment also. So that's how you may come across with the scenarios, but system will allow, they given the functionality, but there won't be any meaning to come. Okay, fine. So we'll just go and assign primary balancing. These are primary balancing. Here is the select it, select. We'll see other labels also before we complete this segments creation. Okay, hope it is clear to everyone. If you assign, say for company we are assigning, that means when you create the transaction, the debit and credit should balance with the same company values. Since we are assigning primary balancing segment label to company segment we treat, balancing segment, the values will become balancing segment values. In every transaction, system will make sure that debits and credits will balance with the same balancing segment value. If you assign the same secondary to, say, your LOB segment, if you have LOB, line of business segment, so LOB level also, it will always look for that it's getting balanced or not. If it is not getting balanced, you cannot process it. Okay, that's how we'll get into the challenges. So this is how we have to create the segment. Please.
Yeah. Can you tell the difference between the primary balancing segment you selected and some of the other segments which we could have selected? I mean, why did we specifically select?
You know the meaning of balancing segment, cost center, natural account, management segment, flex field qualifier, intercompany segment qualifiers in EBS, right? You know or not?
Yeah, some of it. Yeah, some of it.
Yeah, the same functionality remain. Its purpose is not changed. The purpose remains same. Okay, see, if you, because that's what I mentioned in the initial classes, these sessions will helpful for the people who knows or are expertised on EBS financials only. So see, it's a simple point to, even if you want to understand, you enable help, click on that, there will be detailed information. Qualifier wise they explain, the label wise they explain, you can find the information that way. Or else if you want to hear from me, like, definitely I'll just take that point in the end of the discussion, because if I start speaking, you may be okay but not others. Yeah,
Okay.
fine. Thank you. So this is how we create the segment. Then say save and close. We have to create two more segments. Okay, we're done with one segment. Click on create. The next segment is cost center, or say call it as department. Directly you can name it as cost center. Normally department we always take it as a cost center segment where you can track the cost. Let's say department. Just tab out, it will copy automatically. You don't need to copy, it will default. Okay, provide description, and it's going to be second segment in our chart of accounts. The prompt should get displayed as a department only, short prompt also. For department also, maximum size I'm giving 30 characters. You can have a department if required, or else less than that. Say segment 2 and assign our value set. Cloud INC department. So for department, for company, we assigned balancing, primary balancing, so that transactions will get balanced at that segment level. It will make sure that debit level, credit level, same company values. So user is selecting or system is processing, otherwise the transaction cannot be processed. When you talk about department, so department we have to qualify as a cost center segment. Cost center segment label. You select and say assign. Why we have to qualify it as a cost center segment? So when if you want to track the depreciation department wise and additions and other asset related transactions, and if you want to create the approval rules in Fusion expense, means in case of I expense, EBS I expense. So cost center wise only will set the approval. For these two reasons, we have to qualify department as a cost center segment. Okay, just say save and close. Now one more segment is natural account. Click on add. So your name is account. Copy, just tab out, it will.
That's one thing I missed. Did you assign a label to cost center or
Yes, I did.
segment?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Fine. Account. For account, we have to assign natural account, so that we'll be able to address each and every account value falls under which type, and other controls you can set it up, right? So select natural account segment label and assign it. Sorry, I forgot to enter this data. So display with say 30, column name, third segment, value set is Cloud INC account. Okay, done. So since we are dealing with these three segments only, we'll talk about other labels what we have. So cost center, just we discussed. Let me come from last. So primary we assigned, and the secondary balancing, same purpose, to balance the transactions. And this project segment and the product segment, just they added in this environment. Reality, it's not a function. I'll show you the proof also going forward when you do the rapid implementation. And the local usage segment for cash flow. If you want to create the cash flow transaction, cash flow reports and all, for that purpose you can just map this segment specific segment level, so that level you will be able to create the cash flow statements. Intercompany, as we know, like the same. So if you want to track the intercompany transactions, you can just use it. And here if you notice, the GSC intercompany segment, GSC LOB segment, these all are added in this environment. These are not real segment labels. So that I'll show you the proof also, from where you can see when you work on the rapid implementation. In the spreadsheets, they provide the real segment labels. You don't see all these in the fresh environments. Only you can see in the Vision instance. Maybe Oracle might be done for some testing, some other purposes, but reality these are not real segment labels. The actual segment labels are cost center, intercompany, local use, management segment, primary, secondary, and the third. That's it. Okay, just notice this point, then say save and close.
So, Lakshman, you are saying the GSE one, someone created it manually, or?
Yeah. Created. In this environment, Oracle created, not someone. Oracle created it for some reason.
Okay, because I don't think someone will be able to create those qualifiers.
I'll show you the proof, 1 second. So to understand that proof, okay, reality. So this is a sheet basically which we download from the instance only. So here, what are the actual labels they'll provide as a LOVs? You see here, which we have. Primary balancing, secondary balancing, third balancing. And if you want to make one segment as a, instead of assigning the secondary balancing and cost center separate labels, you can assign this also: intercompany, local usage, natural account, cost center. You don't see something else because these are the actual seeded and given by Oracle. If you want to create the chart of accounts in the spreadsheet, this is the sheet you will be using. Anyway, you will be working on this, which you call as rapid implementation. So you don't find anything. Those are specific to that instance. That's it. This is the point you have to understand. Okay. So 3 segments we created and we assigned the value sets as a part of definition, and we assigned respective segment labels to these segments.
Lakshman, can I ask a question? Lakshman?
I'm saying this. I'm getting a lot of noise. I'm stopped. So I'm keeping on mute. If you don't have background noise, okay, so that would be fine. If you have background noise, it may be difficult to ask the questions also.
Yeah, I don't think I have any background noise. So I was saying, even in EBS,
yeah,
although classified something as department, but that never enabled any like segment qualifiers or qualifiers like as it does in balancing segment. It used to balance it, or natural account, it used to say asset liability.
Yes.
So I understood, I mean, grouping, classifying something as department over there. Does it help if you do it or don't do it?
No, see that we do it. What is your exact doubt? We're talking about department segment label.
Department or anything, if you don't classify it as a cost center,
it's not a
what
classified
by not doing
cost center. See, not anything. So normally, so there will be need of, if you are implementing the EBS case, EBS expense, I expense. If you are implementing the fusion expense, we have to set up the approval. Approvals we normally set at cost center wise, department wise. So you have to qualify department segment as cost center. Otherwise, it won't be available. The segment values won't be available as a cost center values.
Yeah, for I expense, I understand, because you said any other use you can think
other
of?
use also explained, right? 2 points I explained. One is if you are implementing the fixed assets, you have to qualify department as cost center. Then only will be able to track the depreciation cost center wise, means department wise, other transactions related to FA. These 2 points.
Okay.
I explained. I think you missed.
The balancing segment mandatory. Others are not.
Sorry.
Only balancing segment is mandatory.
No. Balancing under natural account are mandatory.
Next one, I have one question. Hello.
Gandhi, please. I can hear you. Last time
Yes.
this is happening, please.
Yes. Actually, in EBS, we are taking some future segments, but here in cloud section, we won't taking any future segment.
Why we are taking an EBS?
Because maybe it expand the business
Once again, you attended for EBS as a beginner. That is the reason I explained. Now the expectation is you know all those things, right?
Right.
That is the reason we are not taking. That's all. Fine. Fine, proceed. Fine. Just give me a second, please. Yeah, just any questions on this definition, please? Just we created chart of account, 3 segments and labels and all we just gone through. Any questions here, please? So you can find whatever we created here. Cloud INC, search. This is a chart of account structure we created. You can click on edit. You can see the segments which we created. Okay. And any labels, again, you in future you want to assign some additional labels depending on requirement and all, you can select it, click on edit. The definition page will open. Here you can just do it whatever you want to do. Done. So any questions about chart of account structure definition, please?
Lakshman, I have a question here.
Please.
See, we have a management segment, right?
Yes.
So what is the use of that management segment?
See, that can be used for one point as a managerial reporting, and in GL you have one feature called as
yes, management segment.
Yeah.
So we can give access some people to see only those values what are we assigned at the management segment.
Exactly. That read and write privileges you can set it up.
So this can be assigned to any one of the segments, right? Either cost center or a company.
Yeah, you can assign to any. Balancing you no need to assign, since by default you will have that provision of defining the data access. So other than balancing, you can assign to any segment as per your requirement, the client requirement.
Yeah. Now the main question is, say suppose I wanted to assign this management segment to cost center, but now I forgot to add. So I deploy everything and I start using.
Anytime you can do it. Anytime you can do it. As
we can do it at an
assign primary and balancing and natural account only as a part of definition. Cost center you can assign later. Any segment label you can assign any point of time.
Okay.
No issues.
Okay. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, please don't remove me.
Oracle document for some reason says that it is the management segment is available at a future release. Is that old documentation on the Oracle website?
No. See, the label they given, but the functionality not yet given in the GL. Even in release 13 also you don't find it. Okay.
Oh, so the documentation is
about. Since we know EBS how it works and all, the same we are talking about. Whatever you just gone through, that is true. Label they given, the usage they may give in the future release. As of now, we don't have till 13.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
So, Lakshman, I have a question for you.
Yeah, please.
So, just now you told that once the segments are defined and you can add, but it's not possible if there is a transaction.
Add what? 1 second. You are talking about adding what? I didn't say adding the segments. We should not add segments into existing chart of accounts. So I am talking about assigning the labels. Assigning the
prior to this one, there was conversation.
No. I never said like as we can add the segments later. System will allow you can add, but you should not. It will create many issues.
Exactly.
That is the reason we go with the future segments as a buffer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, that's it. Same. Fine. Okay. So the rest remains same as EBS only. Okay, the points even which we are not discussing, which are very generic. Okay, done. We created chart of account structure. The next step is chart of account structure instance. So just click on done. So we are in this page, and by using this tab we created structure. Now we have to create the chart of account structure instance. Okay, so it won't take more than 10 minutes. We'll finish so that chart of account definition would be ready in today's session. Okay, so we just done with the segments creation, and we just assign the segment labels. Now we'll see the chart of account structure instance definition. What is the meaning of instance? Then the meaning of instance is, the term meaning is copy. So what are the chart of account structure we created? The structure where we use in case of EBS at the time of primary ledger creation. At the time of primary ledger creation, we select chart of account structure. That is only the place where we use it. In other cases, in the setups and all for mapping, etc., we use it. So if you want to use your chart of account structure in the Fusion, you cannot use it. That you can use with the concept called as chart of account structure instance. Instance is nothing but making copy of your chart of account structure. By copying your chart of account structure, you have to create the instance. The instance only you can use in primary ledger definition. Okay, so that's how just they taken this concept. The concept they taken from the PeopleSoft product. Okay, so I mean, even if there is no great benefit for your business or as for a client requirement, this additional task we have to do. And what is the flexibility we got at instance level when you are copying, and what we can manage, how we can take some advantage if such kind of scenario you are into. We'll discuss on that point. Okay, I'll show you how to create the chart of account structure instance. After creating the instance, during that process, or say after creating, we'll talk on that. If you have any questions, we'll discuss. And there is some information which we have to understand about the instance, that also we'll talk about it. Okay, we'll see how to create instance, then we'll talk about it. If you have any questions, those also will have a discussion on that. Fine. So the first point is, so we are ready with the structure. Now we are going to create instance, chart of account structure instance, nothing but, so we will create the chart of account structure instance against the chart of account structure. It's nothing but copy of chart of account structure. By copying the chart of account structure, we'll create the instance. We'll see how to create. After creating, we'll talk about it. So to create the chart of account structure instance, click on manage structure instances. Click on create. You can give the code Cloud INC accounting flex, or you may write as instance but not required. Here for this instance also they give an API name. This is also for integration purpose, you can use same purpose. Provide name, description. You see dynamic combination creation is allowed. In case of EBS, allow dynamic inserts you could see at structure level. But structure here will act as a just template. Fusion chart of account structure will act as a template which can be used to create the chart of account structure instance. That is, the instance is the one which really will be using in the transaction process. Whatever the information you have in instance level, that only will reflect in the transaction process, not exactly what we have in the structure level. But structure is mandatory to create instance. That is the reason structure we created will create instance. Instance level you can override the information. What information you can override, what we can do, we'll see. Okay, as a 1 point, dynamic inserts combination allowed, you can set at only instance level. And if you want to create shorthand aliases, that also you can enable at instance level only, not structure level. Fine. Now we want to create chart of account structure instance against which chart of account structure. That structure you have to select here. What is our structure name? Cloud INC accounting flex field. Within this structure, how many segments we have, system will default. If you to use those segments as a part of this instance, you have to mark as a required, otherwise you cannot use. So to select these segments, okay, from this structure to create this instance, okay, we have to select the segments from this structure to this instance. For that reason, we have to mark these 3 segments as a required into our chart of accounts structure instance. How to do it? Select company, click on edit, mark as required, say OK, marked as required. So we need 3, that is the reason we created 3. Select department, click on edit, select required, say OK, select account, click on edit, say required, say okay. That means now we copied entire chart of account structure as chart of account structure instance. If I save, we can use this chart of account instance when you create the primary ledger. Okay, and what is the use of this instance? Say for example, you have one chart of account structure. That chart of account structure you want to same chart of account structure you want to use for multiple countries, but country wise you want to maintain the different value sets. In that case, you can create one chart of account structure with respect to segments, and for each country you can create separate instance by copying the same. Just you no need to give the segment name, you no need to do all the definitions once again. The same structure, using the same structure you can create maybe for 5 countries, same structure is required, 5 instances you can create. Since you have a requirement of maintaining the separate value sets, then you can go and override the value sets. Or value sets you can override at instance level. Company value set, if you want to override, click on edit, you can override it. You can change the value set at instance level, which is coming from structure. The same way here, requirements as you should select to get into that instance, and displayed, whether it should be displayed or not in that instance. BA enabled, business intelligence. So if you want this segment information for report creation, this has to be enabled as BA. By default you could see it. And if you want to set the default value, whenever you enter the transaction, when you just click for the company, if you want to default some value, you can select it default, or you can write the SQL query. That is, the SQL queries and all not applicable in case of cloud, that you can do in the on-premise. And the other options also, tree and all, this is related to account hierarchy. I'll will talk about accounting hierarchy at the time. Just I'll address this. It's all about, you can create the parent and child relation for this value set that you can assign here. It's not like directly you'll do at value set level, value set values. Instead of doing directly within the value set values, how we do in EBS. EBS, what we do, we'll go to the specific value set. Within that, we'll create the parent and child relation if required. So that will be applicable for that entire value set. But here it's not like that. The same value set you can use in the 10 structures, 10 instances, for example. So for which structure for that value set, which relation should be applicable, that you can maintain separately. You are not just doing within the value set. For which value set that should be applicable, you can create the tree name. Tree structure is nothing but parent and child relation hierarchy you can create between the values. That can be company values. Generally we create for department and account values. So just these are the points we have to understand when you talk about the chart of account structure instance. Any questions from anyone, please? Any questions, please?
Hey Lakshman, you showed that in the instance, if you click on edit for the company, there is one field to update the value set. So, I mean, one instance can have different value set for company and from the structure.
One instance, within one instance for one segment, you can have only one value set.
Yeah, and that can differ from the structure.
Yeah, yes, that is the meaning of that. So this is the one which is coming from instance, the structure. Now you can change it. You will be assigning this instance to your primary ledger. In primary ledger, values will be reflecting from your instance only, not from the structure. That means structure is acting as a template.
Lakshman, what is the query required? Optional and mandatory?
See,
yeah.
So query is writing these queries and SQL. This SQL and all, everything you do in the on-premise environments, you cannot do here. Okay. So SQL, writing the SQL queries, this and all, you cannot do here. It won't work. They're given that function, but it won't work.
What is this?
Here.
Sorry?
Question.
Yeah.
So let's say at the structure level, we have 10 segments, but instance, let's say we have 5 countries and we will define 5 instances by using the same structure. And then we want use all 10 segments for each country. So in that case, we can make whatever required for each instance, and remaining segments we can leave it, right?
Yeah, reality that should work in that way, but it won't work. So how exactly you need instance, accordingly you have to create the structure and everything you have to select. If you don't select, it won't allow you to define the instance definition. It says like you didn't set as all are required, few segments are missing for selection in the instance. That sort of issues will be getting. They just, because as they given, yes, as you mentioned, that's how it should work, but you don't see that reality in this. So how you really required your chart of accounts, you'll create it. But since that you cannot use directly, you have to convert as instance. How many segments you have, you should mark as required.
So everything is marked as required. So we cannot have different number of segments from structure and instance.
Correct. You have to mark it. Reality, when you compare this EBS, EBS you can set it. You can have a segment and you can enable required, then only it will become mandatory, right? Otherwise it would be optional. Again, display is required or not, you can set it up. But here, reality, the same should work, but it is not working in that way. So that's how they give it. The same what you have in the structure, you have to select and you have to make it as required. Otherwise, you need
simply we are getting the same again to the instance.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you need in the different instance, accordingly you create the structure and you copy as instance and you mark it. Okay, that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you add a additional segment, Lakshman, after copying into a different instance?
After copying into here, what additional segments means?
So here are 3 segments, and once I create an instance, can I create one more segment under the instance, not under the original structure?
No. Instance level, even we are not creating one segment also, right? By selecting the structure, system is defaulting here that we are selecting. We don't have option of creating the segments in the instance. So always we are copying from the structure.
Okay. And the second question is, what is that BI thing? How does it help with
this segment data you want to use for reporting or not? BIP reports we have, BI reports. In Fusion, all the reporting work with the BI. Okay, by default.
Okay, is that the ESS database we are talking of, or
BI reporting tool? Oracle Business Intelligence, OBIE.
Yeah. Okay. I know that, but I was just thinking. So only this is for OBIE.
See that data, the segment, if you disable that segment for BI, the segment data won't get populated in the respective the BI server. It won't send that system this. The data cannot be, this application process won't send the data to BI server to keep that information available in the BI server for BI reporting. That's it.
Okay, so basically you are exposing this column to there.
Yeah, your column, yes, same column.
And the last question was the hierarchy. Is that the parent-child relationship?
Exactly. Here the hierarchy they are representing as a tree. Wherever you see tree in Fusion, that is nothing but hierarchy. I'll take you through that, how to create it. When you load it, it will create automatically. Okay, if you want to just to create what points you have to understand, I'll take you through that. We have separate task for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Lakshman, Morally, I have a question.
Please.
What is the benefit of having this instance creation in the application? Like, can we have multiple instances, or if you have only one instance, what is the benefit?
So in EBS, you want one chart of account structure or multiple chart of accounts. Based on that, here you can have one or multiple instances. That's it. So in EBS, you need 2 instances, 2 chart of account structures. That means here you need 2 instances. Accordingly, that you have to copy.
So you are saying that I can map my different chart of accounts for different instances, and for each instance I can have a different ledgers.
See, yeah. When you are doing implement, forget about instance. Simple point. Forget about instance. when you are doing the implementation, you'll decide, right, based on the discussions whether how you are going to have a implementation. It's a global chart of account or local country specific chart of accounts, right? You identified 5 countries, 5 chart of accounts you require. You create 5 chart of accounts. In Fusion, additional step is the same 5 chart of accounts you have to convert as instances. That's all. You don't need to look at the point how many instances required. You have to look at the point of how many chart of accounts you require. That the same number you can reflect with instance. This is additional step which you have to follow, where they are given all these controls, dynamic insert, shorthand aliases, as we've seen, overriding the value sets in this level, that all possible. That's all. So you may not find a great benefit of this instance. Reality, there is no great benefit, but still they given the process of defining the instances to use the chart of account structure definition in the primary ledger.
Okay, your point is, let's say you said 5 different countries. I have a different 5 chart of accounts.
Yes.
Okay, so five chart of accounts mapping to 5 different instances, right? Let's say I have
5 chart of accounts will copy as a 5 instances. That's all. There is no other point.
Correct. Correct. Let's say I have US and UK, 2 instances corresponding to 2 chart of accounts. So in US, I have my 5 ledgers.
When you talk about any example, you start from the chart of account structure. Don't go from instance to chart of accounts. Chart of accounts to instance. So
Correct. You are right. Let's say I have a 1 chart of accounts for US. Okay. And I have 1 instance corresponding to that chart of account. Okay.
You will be creating.
So in US, sorry.
Yeah, you can create 1 or you can create multiple.
Multiple.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to understand that I can create n number of ledgers within that instance with respect to that chart of account.
See, the point is not within the instance. Don't take the point in that way. When you create the primary ledger, we use the instance, not inside of the instance. We don't create primary ledger. When you create the chart of a primary ledger, we use the instance. In case of EBS, when you create the primary ledger, we use the chart of account. Can we use 1 chart of account for multiple ledgers in EBS?
No.
Yes. Same.
Okay. Yeah. Correct. Yes. Right.
That's all. Okay, that is the point we have to understand. If that is missing here, many questions will come.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Lakshman, I have a basic question. It is fundamental. I may have missed it. So in EBS, we have primary ledger and secondary ledger.
Correct.
Here only the secondary ledger concept here?
We have everything same. Okay. We have secondary ledger and reporting ledger. Right. Same we have. We'll be working on it when you work on GL. We have. Answer is yes. We have the same.
Let's say one company, we have a company and we have 2 chart of account. One is for GAAP, another is for IFRS, let's say. So first I had to create a chart of account for GAAP, then I had to create a copy of it, an instance of it, and I'll assign that one to the...
Yeah, I got your point. Always just you create the chart of accounts and that will copy as instance for your primary ledger. And how you want to report, for reporting purpose, how you want to represent that accounting as per local or other requirements, manual reporting, you will create 1 more chart of accounts. That also you have to convert as instance, then only that you can use in your secondary ledger or any other purpose.
And how that mapping happens?
In any, it could be primary and secondary, you can select only instance.
So now suppose one transaction, you create AP invoice. So how it will map? So you have to write SLA rules over there?
In EBS, so, what do you do?
In EBS, we have that one for natural account we override.
Sorry?
It goes in EBS, based on the company code, we change the natural account and it goes to both the ledgers simultaneously.
The same you do here. That those logics we didn't. Those logics are not changed. Only the point we have to understand. Instance chart of account structure you cannot use as it is. Just you make a copy and use it. And when you make a copy, there is some flexibility of overriding and all. Even EBS also chart of account level you can override the value set.
Exactly.
Same. Don't try to find too much of something new in this. Frankly speaking, don't take another way. So it's almost as it is. They are making a copy because that you cannot use. The only this we can use. That's all.
Okay, no. Basically, the more basically the fundamental is clear.
Asking questions, I don't say wrong. You can just ask the question, but just from my side, I'm trying to pass the message. There is nothing great in this. We should do it. We are doing. You may not find any benefit by doing this as a client or a company, but still you have to do because they're given the process in this way.
Okay, thanks for your patience and explaining in detail.
Thank you. Right. Any other questions here, please? Fine. Okay. So you can say save and close. Our chart of account structure instance would be ready. Now the next step is we have to deploy it. In case of EBS, what we do is we select our chart of accounts and we'll freeze it and we'll click on compile. But here our chart of account structure or instance wise you cannot compile. Here equal to compile we have a deploy. So we have to deploy entire accounting flex field. We have to deploy entire accounting flex field. For that what we have to do is we have a deploy flex field tab. So you have to click on that. Now you can notice deployment status for our accounting flex field is edited. Yes, we created new chart of accounts and instance. That is the reason the status is marked as a edited. Now what we have to do is you have to click on deploy flex field. When you click on deploy flex field, it will validate, it will compile all the chart of account structures and instances which are available in accounting flex field. It's not going to just deploy. It's not going to validate only our chart of account structure and instance. It will validate entire accounting flex field related chart of account structures and instances. Okay, just click on deploy flex field. If you find warnings, it won't stop you doing something from the further task. If you find the errors, you can expand this, you can find that error message and you can understand and you can go and fix it. So you created your chart of accounts properly, and before you somebody created chart of accounts, they didn't assign the segment labels primary, or they created chart of accounts the one segment, they assigned one label. Now this process will end with error and it gives the message so and so chart of account, so and so label is missing. Then to complete your chart of account structure definition deployment, you should go and correct it. There is no other option. Anyway, in the practice environment, it may be challenge, but when you are working for any client, think we won't be having multiple chart of accounts. People won't be keep creating the chart of accounts all the time, so there won't be an issue in the reality. But in the test environment, when you create properly, so if other person is not creating properly, for your deployment will get stopped because of that existing chart of account related issue. System will address here as an error. You can see that information, you can go and correct it. Then again you have to submit for redeployment. That's how everything will set right. Finally, we have to make sure that the deployment status is deployed. It will just put the tick mark in green color as completed. It takes maybe a couple of minutes time because the process takes time depending on how many chart of account structures and instances we have in the system in this pod. In our instance, we have many chart of account structures and instances. It may take a couple of minutes time. Meantime, any questions from anyone, please? If you deal with the client instance, even it won't take more than 1 minute time. But here it could take 2 to 3 minutes time or more than that also, depending on number of chart of account structures and instances we have in this accounting flex field. So this is the final task we are just working on. After once it's done, like we can wind up the session. If you want to drop from the meeting, you can just go ahead. If you have any questions, you can stay back. Before we complete this process, any questions from anyone, please?
Lakshman, can you put this video today itself, please?
I'll do that. I'm doing the same, right? Yesterday also I just uploaded video yesterday itself. Today video you can expect within 1 hour because I have to convert. It takes time. Okay. You can expect this video within 1 hour. Even that updated sheet also I'll be placing in the Google Drive.
Thank you, Lakshman.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah,
It's already too late for us. I'm disconnecting. Thanks.
Lakshman, can you please share the Excel sheet as of today?
Yeah, I'll do that. That's what I just now I said. Yesterday sheet,
Okay.
yesterday sheet also just there was nothing we discussed yesterday, so I didn't upload that. Today sheet I'll be doing that because
Video. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye. You're done for the today, right?
Sorry.
You're done for the today, right?
Yes, Tesh. Yes, we done.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Lakshman. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. We'll see this process. If you want to quit from meeting, yes, you can go ahead. Otherwise, just we'll see the just status. It may take a couple of minutes time.
Hi, Lakshman.
So please share video and Excel sheet. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah, Shankar.
Actually, yeah, today only I joined as a demo, so just want a couple of details from you.
Yeah. One second, Shankar. Definitely, we can talk on that. Just let me complete it so that I'll stop the recording and we can just have a discussion on that. Just give me 2 minutes. We'll just go. Yeah. Or else it may take some time. Let me stop the recording. Fine, here you could notice like that's a confirmation 100% is completed deployment. You say, okay, no errors or warnings found. Say, okay. Now you could see the deployment status as deployed. This is what we require. Then only this chart of account you can use, it will work as expected. So we just done with the chart of accounts definition also. In tomorrow's session, what we'll do? We'll see how to create the primary ledger. Anyway, subledger accounting method, you can have a seeded. Going forward, I'll take you through, just will open and we'll see how it is. So we have and all those rules and all. Okay. So we just...
This one you meant morning, right?
Sorry?
You meant Monday morning when you said tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, correct. Tomorrow means here, it's not tomorrow exactly. Monday, on Monday. Today is Friday. So Monday will be connecting India time. Okay, fine. So in tomorrow's session, next session on Monday, next session will work on primary ledger creation and setting up the retained earnings accounts and creating the legal entities, mapping balance segment values, and we'll see how to complete the primary ledger definition. And if time permits, we can go with the GL roles and we'll create one journal and we'll post it. That's how we can make sure that our ledger is working fine. Once that is done, we can start working with enterprise structure, VUs creation, and the subledger modules configuration, and we'll start with the payables. Okay, so this is how we can go ahead. So any questions from anyone, please? If no questions, we can wind up for today. No questions. Fine.